I am 96 years old. This morning, I hung my own laundry on the line out on the porch. I walked all the way to the mailbox and back. I made my own breakfast and read a few pages of my book. I finished all of that before most people out there even opened their eyes. People always ask me how I am still able to do those things at 96. My name is June. In my last letter, I spoke about the things we should stop doing, and many of you listened, but at this age, I understand that simply existing is not enough. Every morning, I still need a reason to actually step out of bed and begin all over again. In my last letter, I shared the things I had to stop doing if I wanted to live longer. But giving up bad habits is only half the battle. You can stop destroying yourself and still wither away if you just sit still in one place. Every day, after Walter passed away, I almost fell into that trap. I just sat quietly in our old house and no longer wanted to wake up each morning. My will to live almost vanished completely along with him. But then I realized I needed small rituals to hold myself back to life. I started doing 7 simple things that are not expensive and do not require a doctor's prescription. It was this repetition that changed everything, and the last thing I am about to tell you saved my life more than all the other 6 combined. The first thing I did might surprise you. I started cooking with real butter again. For many years, people kept telling us to give up butter and animal fats. They advised using margarine or those vegetable oils in shiny plastic bottles. They called those heart-healthy choices. I followed along like everyone else, but my body did not feel right. I suddenly remembered my mother, who lived healthily until the age of 97. My grandmother was the same. She passed away at 92 with a strong heart and eyes that were still sharp. Those women did not know what a calorie was. They only cooked with what came from the land and the garden. In the old days, food came from the kitchen and not from complicated labels. About 30 years ago, when I turned 64, I decided to return to the simple way of eating of my ancestors. I used real butter and extra virgin olive oil. That was a major turning point for my health. I could clearly feel my stomach becoming more comfortable, and the bloating and indigestion disappeared. Breakfast with real butter helped me stay full longer, and I no longer craved random snacks. Throughout the morning, my mind also became unusually alert and clear. I felt my body becoming steadier and more stable from within. I have a friend named Dorothy. She always believed the advertisements for healthy spreads because they were labeled as good for you, but I saw her constantly complaining about being tired, hungry, and having a restless mood. I am not talking about complex science. I am only talking about what I directly feel. Our bodies need original foods that they can recognize. When you nourish your body with honesty, it will repay you with enduring vitality, and that stability starts right from the most important meal of the day. For over 30 years, my breakfast menu has almost never changed. I always start the day with 2 eggs, a slice of toast with real butter, and a cup of hot black tea. My granddaughter often asks if I find it boring. The answer is no at this age. I understand that stability is a priceless gift for health. My stomach and I have a silent agreement. When I eat exactly what is familiar, my body knows what is coming, and it is always ready to receive it. I do not want to waste the first moments of the day standing in front of the refrigerator, wondering what I should eat, not having to make a decision. Keeps my mind calm and away from chaos. I see many young people often skipping breakfast or just quickly drinking a cup of coffee. before rushing out the door. By mid-morning, they start to have shaky hands, feeling tired and irritable, because their body is screaming for energy. I am not like that. My energy always stays at a stable level until lunch. To me, breakfast is not just simply about refueling to survive. It is the first affirmation to life that I am still present and ready to participate in a new day. A simple morning will set a solid foundation for a long day of peace. Before putting my feet on the floor, I always spend time on a small ritual right in bed. I lie still and begin to gently rotate my ankles in both directions. After that, I stretch and flex my feet, then lightly rotate my wrists and shoulders. I tilt my neck very slowly from side to side and take a few deep breaths to fill my lungs with fresh air. A body at age 96 is just like an old truck on a freezing winter morning. You cannot simply turn the key and stomp on the gas to rush off immediately. You need to let the engine run and warm up for a few minutes before rolling out. This helps my back feel less stiff and my knees no longer ache. When they have to bear my body weight, my legs become steadier and I am no longer dizzy. Whenever I stand up suddenly, thanks to this habit, it has been many years since I last fell. I know at least 3 women at church who broke their hips in just the past year. They all said the same thing, that they stood up too quickly when their legs were not truly ready. A fall at this age can put you in the hospital for months, or even mean that you can never return home again. Just 5 minutes of gentle warming up in bed can save you from years of pain in the hospital. 5 minutes is all your body is earnestly asking for. Every morning, learn to move slower so that you can go further. I must tell you one thing, that I have never been to a gym in my life. I do not count my steps, and I do not wear smartwatches to measure my health. I do not have any modern workout routine at all. I simply just keep moving every day. I still go out to the gate to get the mail myself. I take a few laps around the porch or the small walkway out front. I spend time watering the potted plants and pulling a few weeds in the garden inside the house. I wipe the kitchen counters by hand and hang my own towels on the laundry line. Standing up and sitting down many times to do those small tasks is the way I exercise. When Walter was alive, he used to tease me that my apron pockets were full of ants because I never sat still in one place for too long. At that time, I just laughed and told him that those very ants were keeping me alive. I have witnessed this my whole life. Once elderly people sit down and stay stuck in their chairs, they often leave this world much faster. Our bodies do not need complex exercises or expensive machines. It only needs a reason to continue being used every day. Take my neighbor Frank as an example. After retiring at age 65, he almost only sat in his armchair and watched television all day long. His wife often urged him to go outside, but he always said he would do it tomorrow in just a few years. His legs weakened visibly, and he passed away at age 74. You do not need to jog or lift heavy weights. You just need to stand up and give your body a reason to work. At my age, movement is not exercise. It is proof that I have not left this life yet. My schedule is very clear and almost never changes. I usually go to bed around 9 in the evening and wake up at 5 in the morning. I do not need an alarm clock because my body naturally knows when a new day begins. There is something very special about the early morning hours that most people miss out on. That is when the house is still submerged in absolute silence. I sit by the kitchen window, watching the first faint rays of light creep into the house and listening to the birds calling to each other on the tree branches. I sit in my familiar chair on the porch and feel a sense of leisure, because no one is demanding anything from me during those precious moments. Young people often call this a circadian rhythm, but I simply call it living by the light. Our bodies love regularity. When you sleep and wake up on time, you sleep deeper and wake up with a refreshed spirit. My mind becomes clearer, and my mood is less irritable over small things. Waking up early makes the morning feel longer and gives me the sense that I am still in control of my own life. I see many people who often stay up very late to watch television or stare at phone screens until midnight. They sleep irregularly and wake up the next morning in a state of exhaustion, as if being dragged along. Fighting against the darkness always comes with a very high price. The people I know who regularly stay up past midnight always look older than their actual age. They seem exhausted and lack vitality right from the start of the day. The morning is a gift, but you only receive it if you know how to prepare from the night before. I have maintained this habit for over 30 years and have never regretted choosing to go to bed early. A timely sleep not only helps the body recover, but also keeps your soul peaceful before the storms of life. Every day, I spend time reading at least 10 pages of a book. I do not need to read too much or try to finish thick books in one sitting. I only need consistency. Some days I read the Bible. Some days I pick an old mystery novel from the library or a memoir with a worn spine. I even reread books that I have already memorized by heart. This keeps my mind sharp and gives my memory a job to perform every day. Reading helps me practice focus, and most importantly, it makes me feel like I am still a thinking person, rather than just a body aging with the years. I must confess that at this age, I am no longer afraid of death. What scares me the most is losing my memory. I fear that one day, I will forget the names of the people I love most, or look at the house I have lived in my whole life, and find everything unfamiliar. Therefore, I consider these 10 pages as a ritual to hold on to myself. It is the cheapest medicine I have ever taken in my life, but it brings a miraculous effect. Just a few pages every morning is enough to remind me that my soul is still present and clear within this aging frame. This is the most important part of my journey. At least once a week, I force myself to go somewhere where there are other people. It does not need to last very long or be in a crowded place. I just need to step out of the silence that has surrounded me. Sometimes it is going to church or having lunch with an old friend. Sometimes it is just sitting and having tea with a neighbor or walking with someone in the neighborhood. If there is a day I cannot go out, I will pick up the phone and call an acquaintance for 10 minutes. I understand that loneliness does not kill us instantly. It wears a person down, bit by bit, every day. It makes all other good habits feel meaningless if you have to endure it for too long. After Walter passed away, this house became far too quiet. His chair still sat there, and the clock on the wall kept ticking away. The kettle still whistled on the stove every morning, but there was no one left to answer my words. My children love me dearly, but they are all busy with their own lives. There were mornings when I realized I had not spoken a single word until late in the afternoon. That is why I forced myself to go back to church. I chose to sit in the exact same spot where the two of us had sat for so many years. During that first service, I could hardly hear the sermon because I was just trying to keep myself from crying. You can do everything else right, but you will still collapse before loneliness. Even now, I still occasionally sit in that old pew. Some mornings, I swear I can still feel him, sitting right there next to me. Sometimes, the thing that keeps you alive is not expensive vitamin supplements. It is the fact that someone notices whether or not you showed up today. Do not let yourself be swallowed by the stillness of four walls. These 7 habits have kept me standing firm. Through all these years, from returning to real food, eating a fixed breakfast, gently warming up in bed, to constantly moving every day. I go to sleep early, wake up early, read 10 pages of a book, and always find ways to meet people. The truth is that being alive is not always the same as living. There are people who are still present in this world, but have long since stopped looking forward to a new day. In old age, the greatest danger is not illness, but when you lose your reason to get out of bed after Walter passed away. There were mornings when I lay still for a very long time. It was not because I was in physical pain, but because I did not see the need to start another day. But then it was the small anchors that pulled me up. It was the sound of the kettle waiting to be boiled, the 2 eggs in the refrigerator, and the small garden waiting to be watered. It was the unfinished pages of a book, and the thought of someone at church who might ask if I was coming today. Living at 96 is simply about finding enough small things to urge you to put your feet on the floor. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, do not try to change your whole life all at once. Just choose one small thing to start with. A decent breakfast, a short walk, or a phone call to a loved one, then repeat that the next day. You do not overcome old age through grand or great things. You overcome it by giving every morning a reason to want you back.